When we were talking about the manual for our daily life, the first point that came to our mind was continuous expansion. Whether it is to an individual, whether it is to a statute, whether it is towards our attitude towards Mother Nature, or whether towards wild animals, reptiles, inclement weather, there is an expansion. If we keep on thinking about it, the ultimate IQG stands for continuous expansion. The individual level consciousness to the universal consciousness. Likewise, an optimistic outlook. How does it come? Only when our trust in God becomes total. We have found that we don't label it as adverse circumstances, negative circumstances, downpulling circumstances, deplorable, nothing, all these are not there. Because the optimistic outlook is the outcome of total trust in Him. Combining knowledge, devotion and action. When he says great void, an ordinary mind or intellect cannot conceive of what exactly that word represents. So we can say that the word has come from knowledge. We strongly feel that when Papa had gone through texts like Yoga Vasishta, where this word has been used, it must have made a deep impact in his mind, and he must have done a lot of manana there. Knowledge. But the knowledge means, it was not a dry philosophy. Immediately, he prays. There is a Lord and the devotee. So the relationship is there. Though it is nameless and formless, the devotion aspect is there. Otherwise, how can prayer come? Where is rest? Where is peace? Then he says the cry was heard. In the 3 lines we find this. And then action. When he enjoyed the relief, in whatever way we call it, the soothing feeling, the pleasant feeling, a feeling where the load is off the head, where peace is experienced. Then to sustain that, he took to action of meditation and chanting. So combining knowledge, devotion and action. Again, just thinking, first we said continuous expansion. IQG, in quest of God, stands for continuous expansion. There is a constant effort on the part of the aspirant or devotee to identify himself with the rest of the creation. Not merely to his body, not merely to his individuality, his own notions, his own assertions, his own views, his own preferences, priorities, comforts. Continuous expansion. And optimistic outlook. Never here, after that 4th stand, of the first chapter, after the first page, we have never seen anywhere anything about Papa getting frustrated, Papa getting, dejected, dispirited, disappointed. 700 feet he has gone, 700 steps he has gone. It was extreme winter. He couldn't have the darshan. He was asked to go at the midnight, away from the temple. No warm clothing. But not a word in that, about frustration. Optimistic. Later on we find this optimistic outlook can come only when our reliance on him is total. Because there is nothing called negative. And combining knowledge, devotion and action. Unknowingly, when we learn something, it stays at the intellectual level. When we practice some devotional practices, it stays at the sentimental, emotional level. But here we find these two are absent. Nowhere he gives any lectures, but he is full of knowledge. Otherwise, how can the word come great wide? A simple mind cannot conceive this. It must have taken a lot of plumbing deep within to understand the import of the word great wide. In Avadhuta Gita, one whole chapter is kept for this, for Gaganam. Comparing it with every aspect. When we try to grasp it, it becomes very simple. But to reach there, it is the toughest. Because we are thinking about the container and not the contents. The subject only, You all remember, in Yoga Vasishtha, the word comes, where the subject and the object is dissolved. Who is there to talk to them? So it's a question of, it's a state of experience. Through Jnana Marga. At the same time, when in such a background comes, there is a risk involved, that we will not have this duality, the Lord and the devotee. Next line, he immediately after the word great void, next line says Ram. That was the voice of Ram. He gives a name, a label. The other one is abstract. And so now the Ram and Ramdas are devotee, Ram and Ramdas, the devotee. And whatever we gets the prompting, he acts. That is the whole life. That means we must keep on thinking about. That's why he said, you are chanting the name of one who is making you to chant. This is Jnana Marga. You are chanting the name of one who is seated within. So the chanter is, the devotee is there, the Lord is there. And the chanting is being done, action is also there. So in IQG really, in Quest of God really gives us these three dimensions, a harmonious blending of these dimensions. So never at any time we get stuck with one and pass our own judgments that this is superior, that is superior, this is, of course, there is a devotion is first among the equals. Though these three are all equal, devotion is first among the equal, because he held on to this Lord-devotee relationship. Journey from the potential to the actuality. Nobody can even now think about that frail figure who doesn't have any regular food and no protective clothes, going about 600 miles and making adventurous efforts in our language. Going steep up the hill. So many things. Potentiality is there inside. God has given him the needed potentiality is there. And it becomes, how do we know that potentiality is there? Only when it is applied and when it comes out. Otherwise, how will we know? I will be able to cross over one only when I reach the shore. I may not know how to do it, but I may do it. So the field offers us an opportunity to bring out the potentialities. Then only I come to know that it was there in me. See, in what all ways the inquest of God gives us these dimensions. When we say manual, we start thinking about it. You leave the book in inquest of God, and we are coming to our own individual life. How does it guide us? Then only the word manual is really applicable. Unity in diversity. Unless I find some similarity in all approaches, I will not be able to find unity. Just because somebody said, I will not be able to accept. So one will be able to see the unity factor only when the similarity is found out, dug and found out. And when it is out, you don't feel anything. He is carrying the New Testament or is going to Ajmer, though he doesn't give any importance, still he has made a mention about it. Because from the dialogue we can understand the similarity, what is the similarity he has found out. When somebody asked, why don't you become a chela, he has already become. But it doesn't mean that he is a follower of that particular faith. He has understood the similarity of approach. Christ is also a messenger of God. He is also a messenger of God. So it gives us some clues now. If you really want to see the unity in every approach, you must find out the similarity. Otherwise, you are only reproducing what somebody says. So digging out the similarity. Then, nobody can shake your faith. Subject to the divine will. Yeah, that is very class everywhere. How do I understand? There could be simple ways, absence of self-assertion. The sadhu says, follow me, he follows. Gets down, yes. Everything is there. Optimistic outlook is there. Everything is there. trust is there, everything is there. But it all stems from that submission to the divine will. When he came back after this and when he was able to sit for 4 hours, 5 hours at a stretch, reveling in that means, during the solitary experiments, solitudes, in graveyard, in cremation ground, in forests, he must have been trying his witness consciousness. Because the word meditation comes there also. Later on we find only a constant experience of the witness consciousness alone can ensure the nearness and the presence. We are now hearing, We know that we are hearing. Suddenly we are looking back to the knowing principle. First we feel the nearness and then the presence. So he is often resorting to solitude has helped him to develop this witness consciousness. Later on in one of his talks, he mentioned this in a very, very simplest way, He said when you are sitting for the inward journey is a must, and then you close you must first think that God that you seek is within you, then mentally chant His name, and then make the mind still. If it does not easily become still, seek self-surrender, plead. And then he says, slowly that will facilitate for the witness consciousness. In fact, this witness consciousness itself is God realization. So whenever time permitted, whenever it suited, whenever Ram found ways and means to take him to solitudes, starting from Tiruvannamalai and near Jhansi, near Anandashram, and in his case, we find every time, even in Chidambaram, he went and sat and whenever he needed an aid, he was just looking at Bhagavad Gita. So witness consciousness. So inquest of God gives us all these things. The only thing is on our part we have to keep on exploring. If we just leave it at the word level, no. Then the real sweetness can be. So these are some of the dimensions that came this morning. But when we say it's a manual for our daily dealings. How to improve our daily dealings. How to taper with me and mine. It may not go easily, but how to taper, which is the biggest hurdle all of us are facing. So for that, these points will be a very great help. First we will just read out again and then go back to our outpourings. Continuous expansion. Optimistic outlook. Combining knowledge devotion and action. Blending inner character into outer contact. Sacrifice is an inner contact, no? But we should actually, when he gives that, he sits with the chit, somebody comes, without a second thought the chit is passed. Inner contact. Inner character into outer contact. Journey from the potential to the actuality. Papa would not have dreamed, at the time of getting into the train, that you would be able to endure all these tests and take up this adventurous, risky attempts. But the potentiality was there. Only when challenges are faced, these potentialities come out. If it is lukewarm, it doesn't. That is why we are not progressing, because ours is lukewarm. There are no major challenges for us. And unity in diversity, finding out similarity, pay back to the world by loving and serving. Because normally when we say pay back to the world, we used to bring big words. But Papa is in a simple way, you love all and serve all. Whatever way God provides you to share. When you give the mantra to them with total faith and devotion, one life is saved. When I lead a simple life, it's a payback. When I lead a contented life, I don't demand anything. No demands. Just think about it. The more we become simpler and simpler in our lives, when absolutely there is zero demand from us, it is another way of payback. You have already provided, then why should I? And subject to the divine will. Always submission. Then witness consciousness. Like that, every day, suppose we keep on doing it and applying it in our life, we will find IQG is really a manual for our daily life. One such attempt was made. These are all the dimensions. Then, now going back to our outpourings. So, day first day we read this. O Ramdas. Again, from one angle we can say that there are only three factors in this portion. One is the higher mind, the lower mind, and the witness. Ram is the witness. The sattvic and ennobling mind of Papa is called the higher mind. The individual, with all its limitation and frugality, is called the lower mind. So every now and then, the play of these three factors are beautifully portrayed in this word picture. O Ramdas, rise to the very height of renunciation, and there sit on its crest, view the transient nature of the whole show around you. Everywhere you see birth, growth, death. All are running finally along the same road to destruction. What a terrible state of despair would have faced man in the midst of this vast cremation ground. This vast graveyard where all objects are ultimately reduced to dust and ashes. If there had not been the sweet eternal influence. It's a long sentence, so read. What a terrible state of despair would have faced man in the midst of this vast cremation ground, had there not been that sweet and eternal influence. This cremation ground, the vast graveyard where all objects are ultimately reduced to dust and ashes. Which fact, we know, but we don't know. We know while reading intellectually. But the moment the session is over, everything has got its own influence in our life. It has got a place in life. The perishability is ignored. Think about it, each and every. What you consider as most important at this moment, after some time it is not there. What a terrible state. And what is that, had there not been the sweet and eternal influence, God, that divine ambrosia called love, which is a veritable lustrous reality that runs through the vanishing forms that make up this wild, varied, grand structure of the universe. Love is happiness, love is God, love is Ram. So, the Dukharyam Shashvatam, we read it now the other day. So this fleeting, transient, impermanent nature of the world, it must have given us a pessimistic outlook, because everything is moving towards destruction only. Everything. But still, what is it that makes us to live? We are laughing, we say we are enjoying. What is it? Then he says that love. That love factor has been given so that if that is not there, everybody will be sitting with a long face in their place. Because they know ultimately we are going to die. Ultimately I am going to lose everything. I will not be able to carry everything, then why should I earn? Ultimately everything goes, why should I say this is my priority, that is my priority? Experience of myself and others teaches that priority gets shifted often. But still we are all living a dynamic life, It is not a life with a long face, Everyone is dynamic, bringing out. What is that? He says, Papa, that love is Ram. O Ram, fill Ramdas with thy nectar like love. Let no thought of evil, let no thought of difference cross his mind. Make him look upon all with the light of love. Absence of otherness. When you see other, perishability is there. When you don't see the otherness, there is no perishability there. Suddenly from pessimistic to you become optimistic. O Ram, it is thou that weepest in the sorrows of the world. It is thou that smilest in the happiness of the world. Still, thou art above all happiness, above all sorrow. Just like we read, O Lord of the universe, O Creator, Protector and Destroyer, That means all these three are there in Him. In Him means in us. In everything. These three factors are there. So He is in the simplest sorrows of the world, mildest in the happiness of the world. Whether it is corona, whether it is landslide, so many floods, air crash. suddenly we remember who created, protected, destroyed the world. You have protected many, you have destroyed many. Now there are about 4 small wordings. Which has just come out. And we had explained about one, we will again explain it, that how deep is Papa's, that mastery over English. Ram, thou art eternal love baby. Ramdas is ever bent upon catching thy tender smiles, but they elude his grasp. Ram, thou art an eternal love baby. Ramdas is ever bent upon catching thy tender smiles, but they elude his grasp. He goes there, it misses, The presence is felt, not felt, or lost. Eludes. We have to keep on thinking, then only we can understand. Love sheds her cooling light. Ramdas opens his lips to drink, but the light is away. It is dripping, he opens, it goes away. Love sheds her cooling light. Ramdas opens his lips to drink of it, but the light is away. That means he makes effort, but at the last moment, he feels he's not getting it. Ramdas at last catches the smiles. So many lustrous nothings that beam upon his face. We had a tough time to understand, very tough time, because never we have heard this. Nothings means what, no? Nothing, so normally we say nothing, absence of something, But here he says, Ramdas at last, this is a positive thing. The first one was, he wanted to catch the tender smiles, Ram eludes his grasp. In the second one, the cooling light, Ramdas opens his lips to drink, it slips away. And now he has caught. And he expresses in such a way, Ramdas at last catches the smiles. So many lustrous nothings that beam upon his face. Especially when we took up, initially we did not give attention at all to these words. But when the question of translating into Malayalam, it was a terrible task. We prayed and prayed and prayed. Then, we were prompted. Take the dictionary. Finally, then nothing, lustrous nothing. What is that? What can it be? Then to the wonder of wonders, not even in dream you will ever think that there is such a meaning. Nothing. Sweet nothings, words of affection exchanged by lovers. Words of the word sweet nothings means nothings. Nowhere else you will find nothings. Words of affection exchanged by lovers. So the relationship between him and Ram has become something like that. Just imagine. On that day he says, unless you go deep within, you will not be able to understand. Surface level you can't. So Ramdas at last catches the smiles. So many lustrous nothings that beam upon his face. The love, the sense of enjoyment, sense of enjoyment. Yeah. Ramdas at last drinks deep the light of love, the softly floats upon the sea of peace. So his attempts to have the glimpse of the divine presence in Panchapandava cave in it has come out in these 4 lines. He tries, he misses, or he finds he has lost it, or it has gone out of his hand. Again perseverance, he takes it up. He gets a glimpse, and finally he gets stabilized. So, though they look very innocent, So this time he made us to go through the translation in Malayalam deeply, and at that time when we did not see we couldn't make both ends meet. Then what could be? Could there be a printing mistake? We went to the old edition that was available. No, it is there, nothing. Then the Papa cannot go wrong, It will not. It is not there cannot be a clerical error. There cannot be a spelling error. There cannot be anything. Then he said, go to the dictionary. I have put it there. Then apply it. Think about it. Then really catch it.
That's nothing.
No.
Nothing.
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 Not nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yes, is important.
Nothing.
Nothing has a different meaning. Nothing.
Nothing means okay. Absence of something. The Oxford Dictionary was luckily available here, and then the prompting came. Go, search. This is what I meant. Okay. It was a very thrilling moment. And even then, if you translate to Malayalam, is the toughest job. We put some words, then in brackets we gave an explanation. It can't be contained in any small innocent word. In English, you can just do that. How can you translate? Just imagine in Tamil or Malayalam or Telugu. These nothings. So Ramdas at last drinks deep the light of love and softly floats upon the sea of peace. Softly floats. Ramdas at last drinks deep the light of love and softly floats upon the sea of peace. The poised state, the tranquil state. O love, O Ram, envelop everything in the soft glare of thy radiance. O love, let all vibrations be rhythmical and true. Let the inexpressible sweetness of bliss reign everywhere. Inexpressible sweetness. Sweetness is not only the expressed one. A bitter-gourd lover, he enjoys, while eating. So the sweetness is a relative term. I don't know what to say in English. There is a particular chili, green chili, small chili. It's called kandari. Kandari? So no ordinary people will go near it. So the moment you put it in a fire, the whole track will be burning. We had never tasted till we came to ashram. So one day while telling Pujya, Swamiji was telling us that Kandari is the best medicine for cholesterol. And he did it and then he was using it. And then he put it in the alcohol, potentized it. How to go near this, Then we started tasting. Oh! Nowadays, whenever Kandari is there, Punya also likes it. It is like we all take, even today we have taken. So who decides the line? No? This is spicy, this is not spicy. Let all vibrations be rhythmical and true. Let the inexpressible sweetness of bliss reign everywhere. Everywhere. Envelop everything in the soft glare of thy radiance. Without purpose you would not have brought Kandari, Without purpose you would not have brought bitter gourd. Without purpose you would not have brought this tamarind. Without purpose you would not have brought the asafoetida. Like that there are so many herbs, Nowadays we are also trying to spend some time on these medicinal plants. Where some are highly bitter, but it contains the medicinal value. O love, O Ram, envelop everything in the soft glare of thy radiance. So never label it and then write it off. No. Envelop everything. O love, let all vibrations be rhythmical and true. Let the inexpressible sweetness of bliss reign everywhere. That is, the sweetness is there everywhere, whether it is expressed or not. O Ram, make Ramdas mad of thee. Let him not talk of anything else but thee. Let him think of nothing else but thee. Thou art so merciful, thou art so loving. O love, O mercy, make Ramdas completely thine. Currently, O Ram, make Ramdas mad of thee. Let him not talk of anything else but thee. Let him think of nothing else but thee. Thou art so merciful, thou art so loving. O love, O mercy, make Ramdas completely thine. Make me thine and thine only, forever and ever. 1923, this word has come to him. So when he composed that universal prayer, it came out of his experience, There is a long para where we find, he was jumping, he couldn't contain the varied expression of the divine in the form of Mother Nature. At the same time, specific. Whatever thou doest, Ram, thou doest for the best. Ramdas is entirely thine. Thou doest make him walk, talk, think, act, all as thou wilt. He is not to feel sorry or regret for anything. He dwells in thee always. He can see thee, Ram, everywhere. Thou alone hast taken the form of this universe. And then he starts this picturizing. So the first portion, as a sadhaka, when we hear for the fraction of a second, we accept that he is there, he is behind everything. But then immediately after that thought goes, we are back to square one. No? So here I think we should take it that we must keep on bringing these words. Thou doest make him walk, talk, think, act, all as thou will. Not as I plan, I do, I act. Thou will, thou wilt. As designed by you, as willed by you, as programmed by you, as decided by you, as drafted by you, as assigned by you. Like that, we keep on adding. That is why I am doing now, even now. So that the sadhaka must, we take it that by writing this, Papa wants all of us to think about it. Don't think that these are all spiritual and these are all, vyavaharic. He is there at all time with you. Then how can you separate? Walk, talk, think, act. It's all done by him, by him, by him. Keep on reminding yourself. Then there is no demarcation, there is no line which separates that which is spiritual, that which is not spiritual. Every moment of our life is with us. But I agree, I believe, but sorry, I am unable to keep it up. Even now after this session, when you take the chair, keep it in the place, keep the, laptop in its place, switch off, switch on, disconnect, connect, all that. Do we remember? And if we don't try it from the minutest, how can we extend it to the grossest? The simple acts. By bringing these words, Papa makes us to think about it. Not big talk, not something about superhuman. Simple. And then he enters into this. Just read, we don't have time, but just read. Thou alone has taken the form of this universe, this vast, picturesque, varied group of worlds. What a grand display is there. What a sublime manifestation. The vast sheets of water, the mighty oceans that dazzle in the sunlight like molten silver, bearing in their bosom a variety of animal lives of their own creation. They are all thyself. O extensive sky, what a magnificent structure is thine. O a limitless blue dome pictured here and there with fantastic shaped white fleecy clouds, sustaining in her mighty embrace innumerable creatures of her own making. O earth, whose unseen circumference vainly attempts to measure the bounds of the sky that appears to clasp thee. What an indescribable scene thou doest present to the wondrous gaze of the sun, moon, stars, that are never tired of viewing thy beauties at ever-changing altitudes. The valleys are full of green verdure, sparkling water running through them all. Thy high mountains are shooting up into the sky, those gigantic guardians of thy peace. The widespread forests, green and yellow-hued, form thy beautiful garment, in the loving folds of which thou bringest into being untold variety of lives. Bringing in the all-pervading reality in the varied expressions, that is the attempt here. We all enjoy, sky, we all enjoy what you call landscapes, valleys, mountains, but we don't bring this dimension there. What a grand display is thine. Thou alone has taken the form of this universe, this vast, picturesque, varied group of worlds. What a sublime manifestation. The vast sheets of water, the mighty oceans that dazzle in the sunlight like molten silver, bearing in their bosom a variety of animal lives of their own creation. They are all thyself. O extensive sky, what a magnificent structure is thine. A limitless blue dome, pictured here and there with fantastic shaped, white fleecy clouds, sustaining in her mighty embrace innumerable creatures of her own making. O earth, whose unseen circumference vainly attempts to measure the bounds of the sky that appears to clasp thee. What an indescribable scene thou doest present to the wondrous gaze of the sun, the moon, the stars, that are never tired of viewing thy beauties at ever-changing altitudes. Thy valleys are full of green verdure, sparkling water running through them all. Thy high mountains are shooting up into the sky, those gigantic guardians of thy peace. The widespread forest, green and yellow-hued, form thy beautiful garment, in the loving folds of which thou bringest into being untold variety of life. Imagine a person who has come back from all these places, sitting in a cave and writing. Flashback, And you see even today the life in it. So when he saw it as a varied expression of the Almighty Lord of the universe, it got sustained. If he had just seen them as creation, as a mountain, as a valley, as a sky, it would not have got this life. But he felt the varied expression of God. It stays with him. That is why he was able to reproduce it even after a long time with the same intensity. So once more we will say, oh, what a grand, thou alone has taken the form of this universe, this vast, picturesque, varied group of worlds. Oh, what a grand display is thine. What a sublime manifestation. The vast sheets of water, the mighty oceans that dazzle in the sunlight like molten river, bearing in their bosom a variety of animal lives in their own creation. They are all themselves. Even under the water, many creations. O extensive sky, what a significant structure is thine. A limitless blue dome, pictured here and there with fantastic shaped white fleecy clouds, sustaining in her mighty embrace innumerable creatures of her own making. O earth, whose unseen circumference vainly attempts to measure the bounds of the sky that appears to clasp thee. What an indescribable scene thou doest present to the wondrous gaze of the sun, moon, stars, that are never tired of viewing thy beauties at ever-changing altitudes. Thy valleys are full of green verdure, sparkling water running through them all. Thy high mountains are shooting up into the sky, those gigantic guardians of thy peace. The widespread forests, green and yellow-hued, form thy beautiful garment, in the loving folds of which thou bringest into being untold variety of life. So, in quest of God, when we say it's a manual, how to enjoy this, He gives us some proofs. Because he enjoyed it. He was able to sustain that enjoyment. So whenever we, Dr. Bhujanga Shetty beautifully said, sleeping in the mountains, singing to the birds, up and awake in man. We must see him as, by default we should see him as a screensaver. Same word. Not like birds, no. Not like seeing the birds as birds, not seeing the man as man, not seeing mountain as mountain. So these are all today's going slowly. Okay. So we started with about 10 or 12 points: continuous expansion, optimistic outlook, combining knowledge, devotion and action, blending inner character with the outer conduct, journey from the potential to the actuality, moving from complexity to simplicity, unity in diversity, payback to the world, subject to the divine will, witness consciousness. First half an hour we touched upon when we say manual and when we enter into the field of action. These are some of the things which will help us to successfully and joyfully lead the life. Otherwise we may lose the opportunity of enjoying the life. And when we stepped into the heart pouring, we found how he has explained about the varied expressions. How he is bringing out the submission to his will. And how perseveringly he attempted and then finally he got. So many dimensions. Very difficult to absorb and assimilate everything at a stretch. But now that he has given us the clue, we will try. It all depends upon that particular devotee's initiative. That will uncover what is in. Everything is there in everybody, but if the uncovering can come only if the initiative is taken by the sense of individuality. God is watching us. Babaji used to say in one of his, Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. He is a witness. He will not involve. But when we start doing something, he will pat on our back. Well done, my boy. So similarly, this effort, this has to be done by us. That is why he is facilitating all these things. He is bringing this text. He is joining with us. He has kept so many dimensions. He is helping us to unearth, to uncover. So a simple initiative from our side is I can call it as a prerequisite. Then only the real enjoyment takes place. Then only we can name it as a manual. In the toolbox I go out, for repair. Think about all those things. Deeply we are grateful to Papa for having given us these, clues and hints to make our life fruitful. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om, Shri Ram, Jai 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 Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om, Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jai Jai Ram